So good morning, everybody. Hello. So we're very happy to have now our wonderful panel, our interesting panel on media and consumer, kicking off that second day here. And DLD is also in media and digital consumer, what is changing. And that's why we thought we'd like to invite 5 women from a very different perspective, or 5 also professionals from a different perspective in media and consumer industries, from larger companies, from startups, from new projects, from established projects, from changing right now something from the US, from Europe, to have a very interesting joint discussion this morning. And I'd like to say that this panel is inspired, and I see our chairman Yossi Vardi of DLD with us, by his panel at last DLD, which was the big picture, and where we also had a very interesting discussion of that kind. As you know, the whole media idea of how you reach out to consumers, how consumers take choices, how companies need to react to that, brands and media, is changing very much through the digital revolution. And we heard yesterday Jonah Shields speaking on that. We saw yesterday a number of new startups. And so this is like continuing that conversation. But now stopping, I'd like to introduce the panel, and I'd like to ask everybody shortly to introduce yourself. And maybe Franziska, you would like to start. Tell a little bit who you are, what you do. And then we go through, and then everybody takes a few minutes to maybe explain what you're currently working on, what is interesting, etc. But that is, maybe you'd like to start. Yes.
Thank you, Marcel. Well, actually, I feel still pretty junior. Now I have to start. I wasn't expecting that. I feel still pretty junior in this line of very successful, very smart female leaders. And I had a great day yesterday. I was able to watch quite a few panels, and it's been great to listen to so many smart females, to talk to so many smart females, and actually to see so many women in one place. And I have to point out one thing. You have to bear with me. I'm really sorry. But I observed something. Please, dear ladies and dear gentlemen, you have to look at all these shoes. I think there won't be a conference around the globe where you see so many different high heels, so many beautiful high heels. Okay. It's been great.
So I tell you, that was the first consumer insight you already gave on DLD. But Franziska, maybe just also, Franziska von Lewinski, you're heading you should tell what you do, actually.
Well, I'm a CEO from Interone. Interone is a creative agency, and we offer multi-channel communication and advertising solutions. We are one of the biggest agencies within the BBDO network, and BBDO actually has just been awarded Network of the Year. And what we really believe in is to put the consumer right in the center of all communication and advertising solutions we offer. And that's why we currently carried out a study, a piece of research on shopping. We really wanted to find out what is the shopping behavior these days. And we looked into 5 different industries. We asked 2,500 people, 50% men and 50% women, and we looked at 11 aspects of the buying process. And what we find out is that there's no such thing like a pure offline buyer and no such thing like a pure online buyer. We are all multi-channel buyer, which means we can really talk a multi-channel buying behavior. And I would like to point out one thing which really surprised me, if I may. There are 2 main behaviors. One behavior is that you go to the store, you research offline, and then you go online and buy it where it's cheapest. And that's really the fear of the retailer since the rise of the e-commerce. But the surprising thing is that the other way around is a lot more widely spread, which means people research online and then actually go to the store and buy it offline, because the store has the power of instant availability. And since the complexity of the products get higher and higher, and the variety of the products get bigger and bigger, people consult the sales assistant again. And that really surprised me. And I think this is great news for the retailer, because it means that we can generate traffic for the store via the online channel and via the mobile channel.
Thank you. We discuss later a little bit more on that, but thank you for this first intro from you. Rebecca, you came from New York?
Yep,
Yes.
I'm from New York with the Daily, the new iPad-only daily news publication. So we launched in February of this year, which would put us at about 4 months old, which compared to many of the other publications here and of course around the world, it's, I mean, a newborn, obviously. So it's been a terrific learning experience for me and for I think all of us there, and we're thrilled with the way that it's going so far. Within 3.5 months, we had over 1 million downloads of the app, which is pretty incredible if you compare it to other apps that have been out there, major news publications, international and national, that have been out there for the year that the iPad has been on the market. They had 1 million in the year. So to compare that to the Daily, within 3.5 months, having that number of downloads, it's thrilling and exciting and overwhelming, because it launched in February, and the idea came to be really 11 months ago. So it's been very exciting to be there. I came from a small magazine, although very established magazine, before the Daily, which itself is almost 100 years old. And there I was confronting very similar issues, how to get onto the iPad, how to appeal to consumers in this new media environment. We were also committed to charging for content. We believe in the subscription model. So it's similar challenges despite being very, very different publications in the long run. So I'm very excited to be here. It's been wonderful to meet my fellow panelists. And actually I've met 3 or 4 other people from News Corps from around the world, which I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do, without being here. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. I think you brought something you should later
should show yeah,
us.
There's many of you probably haven't seen the Daily because we haven't. And
Who
I'm
knows
sorry
the Daily
for this.
already as a new? Already?
Yay. Oh, good.
This is an
Thank you.
educated crowd.
We have a video,
Yeah.
which we can show, but I also would be happy to
The
show.
first daily national news, entertainment, and sports publication created from scratch for the iPad. Here's how it works. Let's start at the front page. The Daily features the following sections: news, gossip, opinion, arts and life, apps and games, and sports. Tap a section to go there. Tap the logo to get back to the front page. It's easy to move from article to article. Just flip the way you would a newspaper or magazine. Tap here to open the visual browser, which lets you skim easily and quickly. See what you've read and what you haven't, so you don't miss a thing. Tap this button to open the carousel, an easy way to browse the whole issue. Tap here within the carousel to see the control panel. You can watch a video about today's edition, listen to stories read aloud, autoplay through the carousel till you find something you like, or shuffle to something you haven't read yet. You'll also find your saved articles and app settings here. Articles have plenty of interactive elements like galleries, videos, 360-degree photos, and hotspots, which you can tap for more info. Touch, swipe, tap, and explore to bring stories to life. You can share web-friendly versions of articles with friends. Tap here to open the sharing dashboard to post articles on Facebook and Twitter. You can also email articles and tap the paperclip button to save articles for later. Jump to apps and games to play crossword and Sudoku puzzles. You can keep track of your times and play against other people. You can download each new issue of the Daily whenever your iPad is connected to the internet. Just open the app and the day's edition will automatically start downloading. It changes and updates throughout the day. You'll find the Daily in the App Store. The first 2 weeks are free, and then it's just 99 cents a week. We hope you enjoy the Daily. For more information, visit thedaily.com and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Tumblr.
Thank you.
So two quick things. One, I have obviously my iPad with me, and if anyone wants to see it in person, I'd be happy to show it to you. And then also that is the intro video from launch, and the Daily's actually changed somewhat since then, and it's going to continue to change iteratively as time goes on, and actually it'll look quite different in the next several months. So this is literally just the beginning, and speaking of the 360-degree consumer, I mean, our changes are based on feedback we receive from our users, as well as usability. So this is something that we're obviously committed to doing. So thank you.
Thank you. Also, Rebecca, too, before we come over to Sabine Anger, is there an observation from yesterday's DLDwomen like Franziska had? What you had, actually?
Well, part of it was just meeting everyone, but I got to listen to a few of the panels early in the morning, and yeah, I mean, I think Lee Elkind, is that the woman in the beginning? Lee. Anyway, she had some wonderful insights on brand and.
Lee Edelcourt?
Yes. Edelcourt. Excuse me. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Yeah, which were similar to what we're learning at the Daily and how people are using new devices.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So just one question is, because of the rain, do you understand? Is it okay? So good. Sabine Anger, who is with Vivendi Group, maybe you'd like to introduce yourself also, and who you are and what is driving you currently.
So I'm working for a subsidiary of Vivendi Group, the French media company that is Vivendi Mobile Entertainment. And what we're dealing with is already in the name. It's about entertainment, so it's really about movies, TV series, music, and mobile. How does this change the fact that we have so many devices around the house, and it's not stationary devices, but we have also a lot of mobile devices. The average household, we just made a big study across Europe, has 5 mobile devices, whether it's smartphones or laptops or handheld game consoles, and they have, on top of that, 5 stationary devices, PCs, TVs, and all these devices. What is happening is that how do they consume entertainment overall, and that is what we're looking after. Also, how we allow consumers to use entertainment across these devices for reasonable pricing. So it's very similar. We are also looking for subscription services. We have developed an entertainment cloud service that is really working today. It's called SAOSA. It's live in France and Germany. We have acquired a decent number of paying subscribers, more than 1.2 million. And that was multi-genre, so it was really music, movies, TV series, and now we are moving a little bit more towards just focusing on the movies and TV series, because we see that the consumer is so overwhelmed with all these different things of many devices, many genres, that we say we introduce first, how do you do a video on demand service? And from a personal perspective, yesterday, working since 15 years really in technology companies, I was overwhelmed because I'm here with my colleague Stefan Schulz, and he was saying, "Ooh, wow, so many females. I'm in the minority." I'm saying, "Do you know what? I feel like that like 15 years because normally it's always the representation when you work in telecom companies where I worked before, or IT consultancy or media consultancy. It's like there's only 5% female normally, and that was a great personal experience. Besides, really the wonderful setting of speakers that you put together yesterday at attendees. So it's a great personal experience to be here and see that business can work also have a different feeling, because normally
Sabine, also maybe one, 2 questions. So you said we also wanted to show something actually about your new product you're working on, SUSA, yes? But it will be out later the year.
Yeah, okay. It's always important when you, I think, work in digital. That's when we all started with that, was called multimedia 15, 16 years ago, which means it is on multi-devices, multimedia, that you use it. We are live, and then we will constantly reinvent also what we are doing, because it is such a fast-changing environment, and we are really taking into account that now also the TV screen gets connected. Or is being connected already. As we could see, there is so much broadband in the households. There is so much Wi-Fi penetration. I mean, it's more than 65% in the European households that have Wi-Fi that allows you to also have really an internet signal also getting to your TV. There will be more TVs coming that are connected directly. There is great products like the Xbox, the PlayStation, etc., where people have to get connected to play on, and that will allow them to have other entertainment consumed, watched, played with, and enjoyed with. And now we are focusing to put our entertainment service also back on the big screen, so not only on the mobile screens, but also to make sure that we have a subscription video on demand service on the TV screens as well. But you can consume it also on your iPad. You will use the iPad, you will use the smartphone to browse, to flip, to search things around what you will consume on the screen.
And the service, could you compare that to Netflix or sort of?
That's a big comparison because it's very successful in the US, but I think it's a very similar model with a little bit different approach, because what we are really coming as a European company, what we are trying to do is to have a great editorial mix of local content. So in Germany, German content from German productions, plus clearly Hollywood studio content. But I think in the mix, and also a local editorialization, so selecting for the local audience, whether it's French, who have different taste than Germans, than Italians, than UK people, that this editorial packaging still will play a role and will be a value. That's where we want to differentiate and launch across Europe, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Jane Gilson, you're the CEO of Microsoft here in Germany, I think, and Switzerland and Austria, right?
Just Germany.
Just Germany.
Just Germany.
I heard it was
but,
also.
But you know, I'll take that. You know, and
well, no, then you take it. So maybe also introduce yourself and also explain a little bit. What are you? What is driving you right now? Where are you? What do you do at Microsoft? And you know, give also a little bit of insight in your laboratory, in your daily work, and one observation, one consumer or media observation of the last day.
Okay, so I think one of the most interesting things is when you hear I'm a COO of Microsoft, you're probably thinking that I'm highly technical, I'm an engineer, but in reality, I'm an English literature major. And I always like to frame that because I think it says a lot about the company in terms of really looking at diversity and inclusion. I come to the table with a very, very different set of experiences. And that's key for us when we're thinking about representing our consumer in the marketplace. Not everybody is an engineer, even though we're a technology company. Mm-hmm. And so when I look across my leadership team, the German leadership team, over 50% of the leadership team are females, which is amazing when you think about a multinational company and a technology industry having that many women sitting on the board. And again, that's a testament to what we value as a company in terms of mapping to the people that are making purchase decisions in the marketplace, and that is females. And we own that responsibility as the leadership team of Microsoft Germany to make sure that we're providing that feedback back to Corp to make sure our products and solutions are reflecting that, and coming out with some really cool and different things that will be announced later today as I look over at Dorothy. And I mean, that's a really unique place to be. So I feel really fortunate, and I also think it's something that a lot of people don't usually know about the company. They think more in terms of all engineers. They don't necessarily see the level of diversity that we have, especially here in Germany.
Okay. So do you think this 50% of leadership balance, is there something, as you have a global view also to your company, would you say that is already a situation you find in different geographies, or is Germany like at the forefront here? How would you describe it?
Well, I can use the example. I was the country manager of Microsoft Czech Republic until a year ago, which obviously is a very different culture and background. Unfortunately, in other countries, you don't have the representation of women at the senior leadership level. And frankly, I took it upon myself to make sure that I was giving back and created programs for women that were in my organization to help develop their skills in management skills, also how to negotiate, how to deal with conflict and work in a man's environment, because typically you are one of the few females around the table, as well as reaching out to the community of future women leaders that weren't at Microsoft to engage them in leadership opportunities, expose them to different types of leadership styles through having executive presentations, executives throughout Central and Eastern Europe come and really talk about the business issues and how you lead and develop teams. And so, as female leaders, we all have that responsibility to give back within our companies, but also to extend out and have mentees that we can help get to that next level. Because I do think on a worldwide basis, females are still underrepresented at the most senior levels.
And would you just asking, do you think that situation led, Dorothy Ritz is here also, and you represent Microsoft, and
Dorothy's over there.
Oh, wonderful. So all of you, do you think over the last 12 months, what would be the key change you thought at Microsoft Germany took place through the...
Yeah, that's true. Diversity and inclusion, again. Yeah, because of me coming to the subsidiary, we actually speak English now, which is, I appreciate it. I applaud the team for helping me out.
Yeah, that's already remarkable, actually, you know?
Yeah.
Isn't it? Because I think, you know, okay. Come to me. Also, one observation from you on the last day, and from Franziska said there's a consumer insight I have from DLDwomen. Do you have also an insight from the tech or media side you would like to you observe?
Actually, I'll go back to the dinner that we had the other night, the opening dinner. And what was amazing to me is just being able to sit down with so many bright women and have a conversation that there wasn't a lull. And it was business topics to then personal topics, to family topics, to back to business. And I think that's one of the things that's really unique about this setting, is that you're able to talk about all different types of things. And for me, it was an amazing dinner experience. I was sitting with some of the panelists here, and we were sharing ideas. Other people were coming in and joining and pulling chairs up. And it was just a really open and engaging environment. And that's something very unique that you don't see at many conferences. So I applaud the organizers and the people here to make it so open and inviting so that we can share our challenges, our excitements, whatever they may be.
Okay, thank you. So now last I'd like to introduce Christine Aylward. You come from San Francisco right now, and you had yesterday a short demo of your new company, Making Off, but also I think you worked, before you started Making Off, you had different assignments and projects you worked on in the media and technology industry. So would you like to introduce yourself, Chrissy, and also speak a little bit what is driving you currently, but also what you did before, and then I ask you also the question on your observation.
Okay. Thank you, Marcel. I run a company called Making Of, and we are a media and social platform that connects entertainment creators. Right now we're focused on movies, so entertainment creators being actors, directors, producers, anyone who's involved in that process. We connect them with fans, but in a way that's very authentic and totally focused on the heart and soul of what they do. So we are different than... Our big differentiation point is that we're no gossip, and we're all about moving the conversation, shifting it from gossip, and moving it more towards the authentic, real stories behind the creation of entertainment. The need there is that right now, actors in particular are incredibly frustrated with just the nonstop invasion of privacy and gossip, and they all want to connect with fans, and it's important they need to. So we offer a platform that's really completely different than what exists today. We're multi-platform. As Sabine was talking earlier, entertainment is changing in terms of the ways people consume entertainment. When we started the business, the iPad didn't exist. Now, when you think through the way, like your ability to actually watch a movie or some form of entertainment on the big screen and have your iPad next to you, we're kind of providing the stories behind the creation of everything that goes into a particular scene or how someone got into the industry. So the opportunities are really significant from the perspective of very changing consumer behavior around consumption, and then also just the ability to directly connect and engage as well. So that's kind of the big picture of what we're doing. My background, actually, I started my life in big pharmaceuticals, working for a Swiss-German pharmaceutical company, launching technology and products worldwide, and did a lot in the consumer market then as well, because I launched a few big drugs, one for breast cancer, some in pediatrics. And then I was in Silicon Valley working in doing high-level consulting work for startups primarily, focused in a lot of different sectors, but all with a consumer bent. So whether it was healthcare, technology, consumer companies, or an investment bank that was actually focused on bringing IPOs to the consumer market. So that's kind of my background in a nutshell. In terms of what I've observed at DLD, yellow's the new pink, so Jane's ahead of the times. No, but I would have to say that there are so many incredible people here. It's been really wonderful to have the opportunity to meet so many different people. And as Jane said, you know, yesterday I found it really hard to pick which track I was going to, because I want to hear the track on human trafficking just as much as maybe even more so than I want to go hear about startups and entrepreneurs, because I live in Silicon Valley and I hear about startups and entrepreneurs all the time. So I would say it's been incredibly rewarding to meet so many wonderful women in one place at one time, and it's just been a really incredible experience. So thank you for including me.
So I think now you know who's on the panel, and I think this is good. I want to ask you now in the audience, who of you has to do with the consumer in his daily life? Who works closely with the consumer? So that's 1/3 already. So and that brings us now, I think, to the core of our discussion. So we see over the last 5-10 years how consumers think, how consumers act has changed tremendously, and this whole concept and this session is called 360 consumer. I think you saw when this introductions you did your introductions. Everybody needs to find the consumer in different modes, on different platforms, etc. So I'd like to ask each of you now, if you look currently how you work with consumers, what do you think is the key change you see right now, which is taking place? And if you look forward, the next years, what we don't see so far, you think, will change even further? And maybe, now I don't start with you, I start with you, Rebecca, at this point.
Yeah, well, one thing that we think about a lot at the Daily is the fact that, I mean, obviously we're on the iPad. Right now we're only on the iPad. We don't have a web presence, and that's intentional. And the fact about the iPad is that it's brand new still. And so we're really learning consumer behavior as we go, which is interesting, and it's also creating for something that is still burgeoning. It's still becoming new and changing every single day. So the consumer for us is something that we're learning as we're creating the content for them at the same time. One of the funny, can you raise your hand if you have an iPad? And can you raise your hand if you use it during the day? And when you get home in the evening, do you use it? And how about in the bedroom?
I always stop at this.
Okay, I'll stop there. No, you're just starting to have fun. No, but we're finding that a lot of consumption of content on the iPad happens in the bedroom, and not in any sort of way that we wouldn't want to get into here. But people find it to be a very leisurely activity. They use it like they read their magazines. They use it. It's somewhere between a mobile device, which is extremely intimate. I mean, your mobile device you have on you at all times. It's in your pocket, it's in your purse, you never let it go. I mean, I'm looking at the women here who I know are all listening very intently to what we have to say, but they're also emailing and texting and checking Facebook, I'm sure, which is completely fine because that's how we use our devices these days. You know, you can look at the computer, and the computer's on your desktop. Maybe you take it with you on vacation, but it's something that you're less intimately connected to, in at least relative to the mobile device. The iPad is somewhere in between, and we're seeing this in many of the usability discussions that we have and the marketing studies that we do. People feel very connected to their iPads and to their other tablets, but they're also willing to share. So they'll be looking at something on their iPad, but they'll say, can I show you what this is, and can I show you what we're doing here? So it's something, you know, that we're figuring out as we go along, but it's a wonderful thing for us because we know that people like to spend time with our content, they like to dig into it, and they like to share it, which you can't really ask for more when you're looking for the best kind of consumer. Was there something when you started a year ago which completely went differently than you thought, you know? Kind of an observation you had, an insight, or also something that you would say didn't work that way, what you said on this journey was really changing? You said, what would be an insight you didn't had initially? Well, you know, first of all, we didn't really know, we knew a lot about the iPad, of course, but we launched within 6 months of the idea being created. I mean, so that's a really fast production process. So part of it was not doing a ton of explorative. I mean, when products launch, they go through beta, they go through all sorts of testing and usability, usually before they even hit the market. And we just went straight to market. And that was intentional, and we were excited about that, and you know, felt like that was the right thing to do. But as I mentioned early on, the iPad, the daily that I showed you, the video that I showed you, is going to look pretty different from what the daily will look like in a month or so, or in a few months. And so we're constantly changing as we go, and we're getting the changes and the insights from customers, directly from customers, from the feedback that they leave on the app, from the emails that we receive, from the usability labs that we do. So there's a ton. And then specifically, I mean, customers on the iPad are looking for highly customized experiences. Mm-hmm. And the daily right now is purposefully an editorialized news and information product that's somewhat similar to the traditional news and information experience, where we're showing you the path of how to get around. So with the carousel and the different sections laid out. And so I think as we go on, we'll look deeper into customization and things that will that the customers are really looking for. So Sabine, I would like to ask you also, you're also launching now a very broad new service. So also from your end, what is the key kind of change, and looking forward next years, what do you think we don't see right now, which will, and that's interesting for everybody who works now with consumers from your end. And I think you also in this process of launching new products, and when do you go to the market? Do you involve the consumer or not? Is there expectation you would like to meet? Maybe you could explain a little bit and share with us from your point of view.
Absolutely. So we see similar things on the devices, so I'm not going to repeat this. And it's true that we also looked what people do in the bedroom. It's more than 35% who do watch actually TV in the bedroom on a nearly daily basis. And that is not because they have a second screen, it's because there is new devices. They use what is called catch-up TV or replay TV on laptops or increasingly on tablets. So let me start first is how do we involve the consumer? We absolutely involve the consumer, and the consumer for entertainment services at home is also driven very much by what was called yesterday the chief household officer. So very often really the responsible woman in the household, she's determining what the kids are going to see. It's different in the evening. There was still the fight about the remote control. Is it, like we heard yesterday, the action film, or is it more the drama, emotional story that people watch? So in order to have the right service and the right content, We do a mix of market research, but we also have mixed teams. Yeah, I think that is one of the learnings that I took also from the telecom times. The consumers out there is 50% female and it's 50% male. And if in the development you go too much into one direction, you can have very overcomplicated technical services where it takes half an hour to fiddle around before you see something, before you can watch a film, and I just couldn't use it. And I think when you have a more balanced team, then you bring different aspects to it about it must work technically, but it also must work from the convenience factor. And here we do this mix of having really mixed teams with diverse backgrounds, also from the education, coming from the movie industry, coming from the production.